Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're really getting into the nuts and bolts of scaling a business.
Yeah, we're looking at the frameworks from Alex Hormozy's $100 money models.
Exactly. We've got the source material here, and our goal is pretty clear. Lay out that essential blueprint for, engineering revenue. We want to cut through the noise and get right to the systems that actually generate predictable growth.
And look, if you're an entrepreneur, or honestly, even if you're just curious why some businesses take off and others just fizzle out, this is pretty critical stuff. Hormozy's core idea, it's kind of a wake-up call. He basically says most companies don't fail because the product is bad.
Right. It's the money model that's broken.
Precisely. If you feel like you're stuck in that, that endless hustle, always chasing the next customer just to make payroll, the fix is structural. It's math, really, not magic.
I think the idea that hits hardest right away is that perspective shift he talks about. For ages, it's all been about acquisition, right?
Sure.
More leads, more customers. But he flips it. He argues scaling, real scaling, comes from making more money from the customers you already have.
That's the absolute crux of it. Acquisition without monetization. He calls it the leaky bucket business.
Leaky bucket.
Yeah.
I can picture that, pouring effort in and it just drains out.
Exactly. You spend all this money getting people in the door, but you haven't built the system to maximize what they're worth to you over time. So to fix that, to get that predictable cash flow, you've got to master these 4 levers.
Okay, let's list them.
Attraction offers, upsell offers, downsell offers, and continuity offers. These 4, they're like the skeleton, the structure that holds up business wealth.
All right, let's start at the beginning then. Lever 1, the attraction offer. This is the magnet, right? That first handshake designed to just smooth things over, get people moving.
Yeah, break inertia. And we're not just talking simple discounts here. This is more about psychological engineering.
Okay, intriguing. Like what?
We'll take the win your money back guarantee. Think about that. A normal guarantee is just a safety net, right? Protects the buyer if they make a bad choice.
Sure, standard practice.
But Hormozy reframes it. It becomes a prize you can win. Suddenly, buying isn't about avoiding risk. It's this exciting challenge, There's a potential gain.
Like that gym example he uses. Offer a refund if someone hits a specific fitness goal in, say, 90 days.
Perfect example. The customer's motivated. They want to win their money back. But here's the genius part for the business. Human nature means only a small fraction actually follow through consistently enough to claim it.
Because life gets in the way or it's just hard work.
Exactly. But the business benefits hugely from that initial commitment and the perception of a great deal. The key, though, is what he calls friction.
Friction, explain that.
The offer has to have clear rules, measurable benchmarks, deadlines. You can't make it too easy to win, or you lose money. Too hard, you lose trust.
So the friction filters for the serious people.
Precisely. It attracts committed customers, the ones who actually want the result, not just someone looking for a loophole.
Okay, but doesn't adding friction risk scaring off people who are genuinely interested but maybe a bit hesitant? How do you find that balance?
It's a good question. The friction needs to be directly related to the goal they want. Getting fit. Friction is showing up. Growing a business. Friction might be doing an initial deep dive, an audit. By demanding that bit of commitment up front, you actually increase the perceived value of the outcome. It makes the offer even more appealing to the right kind of person.
Okay, that makes sense. So moving from filtering to framing, let's talk about the decoy offer. This is another attraction tool, but it works differently. It's not really meant to be sold itself.
Exactly. It's all about shaping perception. We humans, we think comparatively. We don't really know the absolute value of something. We figure it out by comparing it to other things.
So the decoy effect. You introduce another option, often a really high-priced one, that makes the other option, the one you actually want them to pick, look much better.
Nailed it. That massive enterprise software plan. It makes the mid-tier plan look like the smart choice, the best value. It anchors their perception.
Like the ridiculously expensive bottle of wine on a menu.
That's the classic example. The $200 bottles isn't there to sell. It's there to make the $80 bottle feel reasonable, maybe even like a good deal.
You're basically controlling the environment where the decision gets made, shifting focus from, is this expensive, to which of these is the better value?
Whoever controls the frame controls the game, controls the perception of value, and ultimately the sale.
Okay, so the attraction offer works. You get the customer in, they make that first purchase, their guard is down a bit, which leads us right into the second lever, upsell offers. This is where the real leverage kicks in, right?
Oh, absolutely. This is the moment you focus on increasing the average order value, the AOV. Think about it. The first sale often just covers the cost of getting that customer.
Right, the acquisition costs.
Yeah, the upsell. That's where the profit acceleration happens because your cost to acquire that specific transaction is basically zero.
It's the classic, would you like fries with that idea, riding the momentum of the yes.
It is. But for it to work sustainably, it needs to be relevant and proportionate. It can't just feel like a random pushy add-on.
So what makes a good upsell?
It should either add convenience, like faster shipping, or amplify the results they're already getting, or maybe complete the transformation they started.
Like if they bought an online course, maybe the upsell is a one-on-one coaching call for feedback.
Perfect. It feels like the natural next step towards the goal they already committed to.
And then there's the more structured way to do this, the menu upsell, presenting options in tiers, usually 3. Basic, mid-tier, premium.
Yes, exactly. And the psychology here is brilliant. It's not just about offering choice. It's designed to steer people away from the cheapest option.
How so?
Well, people often avoid the absolute most expensive thing, but they also kind of dislike feeling like they're getting the bare minimum, the stripped-down version.
So the middle option ends up looking like the safe, balanced, sensible choice.
Precisely. You use the expensive one as an anchor, the cheap one as a floor, and guide most people right into that profitable middle tier.
Clever. They feel like they made the choice, they have autonomy, but you've subtly guided them to maximize your profit without being overt about it.
It's silent guidance. Their wallet's open. They trust you. They're already saying yes. The upsell just asks, okay, since you're in, want the faster way or the more complete version?
Makes sense. But okay, what if you make the offer, maybe even suggest an upsell, and they just balk at the price, they hesitate, you need a fallback, a safety net?
And that's our third lever, the downsell offer. It sounds counterintuitive, maybe, but it's crucial.
Because it saves sales you'd otherwise lose completely.
Exactly. It turns that no, or not right now, into a maybe or a yes, but smaller. It captures revenue that would have just walked away. The most common one is the payment plan downsell.
Right, breaking down a big price tag.
Yeah, takes away that immediate financial friction. $3,000 up front sounds daunting, but $300 a month, much more manageable psychologically.
Okay, but wait. If you offer payment plans, aren't you taking on more risk? And admin. Why not just offer a small discount instead? And don't people sometimes resent paying more total because of installment fees?
Those are valid points. On the premium, yes, sometimes the total is higher. But the goal here isn't always maximizing the total dollar amount from that one interaction. It's about maximizing access and conversion. The psychological barrier of $300 a month is just so much lower for many people than $3,000 today, and for the business. That predictable, contracted revenue stream, even if slightly riskier, often outweighs the potential lump sum they might lose entirely. It smashes the affordability barrier.
Okay, that distinction is key. Removing the barrier versus just slashing the price. Because that brings us to the other main downsell, the feature downsell. And here, protecting the brand seems really important.
Absolutely critical. If someone resists the price of your full premium offer, you don't just cut the price of that same offer in half. That signals it wasn't worth the original price.
Because instead, you reduce the scope.
Exactly. You remove features, you limit access, you take away some benefits, you create a different, smaller version of the product or service.
So using your example, a $5,000 coaching program, they say no. You don't offer it for $2,500. You offer maybe a self-study version, no one-on-one calls for $2,500.
Precisely. You create a ladder of ascension. The person who buys the basic version today might be ready for the premium version tomorrow. You haven't devalued the main offer. You've just created an entry point.
Okay. And there's one more downsell you mentioned, the trial with penalty. That sounds odd. Trials are meant to be easy, no strings attached.
It is easy entry, but it demands a bit of seriousness. It's not your typical free-for-all trial that just attracts people kicking tires.
So how does the penalty work?
The customer might pay a small fee up front for the trial, which they might get back if they convert, or maybe they lose access to a special discount if they don't convert after the trial. It taps into loss aversion.
The psychology that we hate losing something we feel we already have, even if it's small.
Exactly. People are apparently twice as motivated to avoid a loss as they are to achieve an equivalent gain. Putting just a little skin in the game makes them take the trial more seriously and makes them much more likely to actually convert.
So downsells aren't about desperation. When done right, there's smart revenue optimization and pathway creation.
They ensure everyone who shows interest has some path to becoming a customer, even if they hesitate on the initial price.
All right, that brings us to the fourth lever, and you called this one the crown jewel, continuity offers. This is the big one for stability, right? Recurring revenue.
This is the engine that turns a volatile business into something stable, something that compounds. We're talking subscriptions, memberships, dependable income streams.
So how do you get people onto continuity? One tactic you mentioned is the waived fee offer.
Yeah. Customers universally hate setup fees, initiation fees. They just feel like unnecessary hurdles.
So the business just gets rid of that one-time fee.
They waive it, yes, but in exchange for a commitment to a longer recurring plan, maybe 12 months instead of month to month.
So you trade that small one-time fee, using it as bait, really.
Bait for recurring wealth, exactly.
Yeah.
You secure predictable income that, over time, is worth far more than that initial fee ever was.
And that stability. It's more than just money in the bank, isn't it? There's another technique, the continuity discount offer, offering a better rate for paying annually versus monthly.
Right. You give them, say, 12 months for the price of 10 if they pay up front. You sacrifice a little bit of margin today.
For the certainty of that revenue tomorrow.
Oh.
And you massively reduce churn, people dropping off.
Precisely. The customer feels smart, like they got a deal. The business gets predictable cash flow locked in.
And how does that predictability really translate into, well, wealth beyond just the cash?
It changes everything operationally. You can forecast inventory accurately. You can plan staffing. Crucially, you can get better financing terms because investors love predictable revenue. When you know reliably what's coming in for the next year, you can make big strategic bets with confidence. You can invest in growth in ways a business living hand-to-mouth just can't. It lets you outlast competitors.
And there's an identity component too, isn't there, with continuity?
Huge. When you subscribe to something, you're not just a one-time buyer anymore.
Yeah.
You become a member, a subscriber. You sort of belong.
It feels different to cancel, like you're losing a part of your routine or identity.
It shifts the whole dynamic from purely transactional to relational.
Right.
That drastically cuts down churn risk.
Yeah.
And that stability lets the business owner finally get off the constant revenue hamster wheel and focus on long-term sustainable growth.
Okay, so we've walked through the four levers: attraction, upsell, downsell, continuity. Let's try and synthesize this. What's a big picture wisdom here, the sort of 10 years and 10 minutes takeaway from Hormozi's models?
I think the core lesson is that building real wealth in business, it isn't about finding one magic bullet, one viral trick. It's about the compounding effect of doing the basics consistently over time. It's about stacking small wins. These models, they're systems designed to endure, not just quick hacks.
Yeah, you can see how they fit together. Attraction gets them in, upsell maximizes the value right then, downsell catches the ones who hesitate, and continuity keeps them engaged in paying over the long haul. Mastering these really does seem like the key to gaining control over revenue and finding some actual freedom in the business.
It absolutely shifts your focus. You move from the constant panic of where's the next sale coming from to the calmer strategy of how do we optimize these flows for predictable growth. The models are the engine, but your discipline is the fuel.
That's a great way to put it. So maybe the final thought for everyone listening is this. Hormozi lays out the blueprint. The tools for engineering revenue are right here. But the difference between struggling forever and actually scaling, well, it isn't just knowing the map, it's walking the path. So the question is, are you committed to playing that long game? Are you ready to consistently test, refine, and stack these four levers until they build something unstoppable?